Hello, everybody. Sorry, my chair was up against the part of the desk. I don't want to ruin the desk wood there. Good morning. It's Sunday. It's Groundhog's Day. It's the morning for me, so good morning or good evening to anybody out there. Groundhog's Day is also folklorically known as Imbolc in the pagan tradition. So today, I've got a couple things for you. I thought I would do a little, I don't know, reflection, introspection about Imbolc. And so I'm going to share that with you guys and give you some questions to think about. But also, now that it's February, I'm hosting the Black Authortuber Readathon again. And I'm going to be featuring Black Authortuber every Sunday stream, whether that's a person live on the stream or just me shouting out their lovely charms and talents and telling you to go buy a new book. So today I will be welcoming Callie Browning on, otherwise known as Bajan Callie, because she's from Barbados, and she will be here at half an hour after, because I'm going to do the Celtic pagan stuff, fit it in as part of the date, and then we'll switch over to a little author interview. And I say author because usually I do a certain amount of topics each month. I have book tags, I have Booktube content, I have readathon recommendations, I have Authortube content. So that's what this Sunday will be devoted to. And Truth and Reconciliation Commission related chat this year for Climathon 2025. Otherwise, Margaret Pennard, historical fiction and fantasy author, and here to chat about books. So welcome. Hi, Anita. I was reading up until an hour ago to finish a very special book for today's guest. So, yeah, I have not done banners. So let me quickly, where's my readathon folder? Here we go. Black Authortuber Readathon month. All right, so we'll get that ready. And what is going on with you guys? First, Imbolc. So when I have my slew of Celtic pagan mythology religion books, they usually start with Imbolc because the end of the year is the dark midwinter where like everything dies metaphorically and in real life. And then Imbolc February 2nd is where you're starting to see spring awakening, like the little taste, right? And so it's a feast day or a observance, a Shabbat, that is about awakening, cleansing, preparing, and getting the fires burning. So those are the things that I'm going to just go through and share a little bit about what I'm thinking, what I'm preparing and cleansing and awakening in my life, and maybe get some answers from you guys. Jim is here. Hey, y'all. Katya is here. Page Turners with Katya. Good evening. And Katpa is here. Hello. Welcome. I should put up this Imbolc observances incoming. How about that? Okay, so we'll do that. And then the first one is awakening rituals and grounding. So we've already come through a pretty rocky January. And, that could be getting us in some anxious states. That could be, making us feel like we just want to hide our heads in the ground. Depending on where you are in the world, it may feel more dangerous. And depending on what your job is, it could feel more risky. So I think awakening and grounding are good. Now, here's what I speak in metaphors, just like Mama Maggie did in the stream earlier this morning that I listened to for a little bit. Metaphors. When I wake up every morning, right? So that's another type of awakening. I wake up And usually the first thing is that I have this weird state between sleep and awake. And it's sort of like I'm dreaming and I'm talking to myself, and all my worries are sort of circling around, and I'm sort of trying to figure out a way to solve them. So I don't know what to call that. It's not lucid dreaming, but it's something like a state where you can observe your dreams as a consciousness. So I've never like looked in, this is sort of a recent um discovery, I guess, or habit. And so I don't know what that is called, what the neurology behind that is, but that's the first thing that I'm aware of in the morning. And so I'll usually do that observing for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And if I don't fall back asleep and I know, oh, this is me waking up, I'll journal about it sometimes if I want to memorialize something, if it's a good idea or something that I need to do later in the day. And then I say hello to Bean, who's right here next to me on the back of the couch. And then I get up, put my slippers on, wake up the appliances, turn on the power, and either make a quiet cup of tea or start playing a Pandora list that it's called Slow Morning. So it's like piano and sort of quiet classical music. So I'm trying to ease myself into the day in a good frame of mind to be productive and not already get that pitch of anxiety up to a high notch. So I do also check my phone first thing in the morning. So that is sort of at war with this intentional routine, because once I absorb the news, people's hot takes, some sort of humor or sarcasm, the quiet morning ritual can be sort of tipped out of balance for the anxiety. So, it's a game. It's a game we play every day. How about you? What is your awakening ritual and or grounding? Or what would you like to do? I'll put that in the comments there just so everyone can share and follow along. Um, ooh, we have a Jocelyn in the house. Hi, Jocelyn Carter. We have a Mojo in the house. Hey, I'm all about my wicked holidays. That's nice. It's basically lucid dreaming. Okay. I mean, I I'm not seeing myself. I'm just hearing words. So that's why I didn't know if it would really qualify. Hi, Jean. Jean Shelby Books, another author, is here. And I'll leave this up as like the question. So what is your awakening ritual and grounding, whether that's each morning or whether that's for Imbolc and the start of the year with this Shabbat? So I'll leave that up for a minute. I like the awakening with the tea. Sometimes it's black tea, sometimes it's verbena tea. I've got really great Rwandan tea from my friend Marion. So, you switch it up, you have some variety. But I think having a solid, slow start makes me feel uh, like you're ready rather than feeling rushed and like you're already behindhand. Because I think mindset is very important when you're setting yourself important creative tasks. So there we go. I've got 3 of these questions, so we're gonna go through them before Callie comes in. Jean says, moon rituals, crystals, journaling, scripting letters. Are those all your rituals? That's very nice. I've seen you have videos on some of these on your channel, so if anyone is curious about those, check it out. Katja says, I am awakened by Milo squeaking his toys, telling me to get up and walk. I've just decided to pretend that is my choice. Yes, yes, for those who have more active companions. Um, Bean just comes in meowing and complaining that there's no new food. So, yeah, that is a different situation. Then the dog walk in nature before most of my neighbors are awake is grounding. Oh, see, you're turning it into lemonade. I love it. That's nice, though. Uh, I'm sure you're bundled up this time of year too. And Monique says, I usually am thinking about what I have planned for the day. Do a bit of deep breathing and meditation. That's so good. Then it's time to clean the cat's bowls since they've been scratching at the door. Yeah, we've got impatient animal companions. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Okay, so awakening and grounding is the first thing that I was going to highlight. And then the second is about preparation. So other authors on here will know that I love to do a planning stream. I love to join in on one. I love to host one. I try not to host too many because other people are more focused than I am. So, how about you guys? When I think about preparation and planning for the year, since this is like pre-spring planting, like when you think about the old roots of these observances, they were doing very different things than our urban environment. But for me, uh, for the year, my preparation at this point is goal planning. And for me, that started in December. I had a fun stream and invited a few people on so that we could talk about goals and how we set them and how we keep them realistic and how we keep ourselves motivated. But those are building on goals from before. So I think maybe November is when I was starting to think about, well, how realistic is the next book coming out? When should I do this? When should I do that? When do I aim to hand it off? All these kinds of things. So building on goals from before, and goal planning for me encompasses many aspects, only some of which I share on the channel because of the Booktube Authortube channel. But I have goals for the next book, obviously, which I shared on my 5 author goals video not too long ago. I have goals for work relationships, so how I handle professional life stuff, goals for travel and seeing people and renewing relationships, goals for family relationships and how much time I spend with people and calling, visiting, all that stuff. Goals for fitness and health progress so that, as I get older, my health doesn't deteriorate as rapidly as it might. Goals for eating and cooking improvements. So basically, it's like all these habits, good habits I'm trying to build. And so I set goals around um, changing behaviors and not needing destructive behaviors and building them up with better ones. Um, and then the last one is goals for advocacy actions. So sometimes it's in my reading, sometimes it's in my walking out, going to things, sometimes it's in my sharing on social media. But advocacy that is shared with people means that you have considered your values, you're standing in your values, and you're telling other people that this is what you think people should do and why. And so I haven't done that much in my life, and the past few years have really shown me that we need to. So that is part of the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation series, every month this year. Part of Climathon, but it's also opening people up to the intersectionalism of the climate catastrophe. And yeah, just being more open about talking about what I think is right to do rather than everything that's wrong, because that would take too long. So that is my preparations and planning. How about you guys? Let's see. Tiffany's here. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. Hello, hello. So this is for the last question on awakenings. Cat Paw says, morning. Ugh, what time is it? Can I go back to sleep? Did the cats notice I'm conscious and start to yell for food? Consider dreams. So we have that in common. Feed cats. Yep. Make coffee. Pretty much the same. Go back to bed. Pick up notebook and pen. Okay. So your cycle is different. It's a different emotional cycle, I will notice. Um, but I like a lot of elements there, and, if it works for you, maybe think about, like, is this, like, how you're responding to the year? Because 'Cause I'm thinking about responding each morning awakening and responding to the year and awakening with the seasons. What does that say to you? I don't know. Just chew on it. And Katya says, "Love it." Yeah, so preparation. So goal planning for different areas of my life. And the advocacy one not only includes Climathon, but also the Black Authortuber Readathon, because it was one of those things that I thought, hey, there's probably a gap in most people's reading schedules because of the way publishing works, the way social media works. And I would love to support other people in this community who get suppressed in the algorithm and, are just doing the same as everyone else, trying to get their message out there in their books. So hopefully we'll highlight some great books and authors for you to jump into this month. Leslie, she's great at doing this too. She's got preparation and planning down to a T. Hi, Leslie. All right, and the last question is about cleansing and the home fires. So the Groundhog's Day / Imbolc is a feast day associated with Bridget, who is a pagan goddess as well as a saint, turned into a saint by the Catholic Church. And Bridget is associated with lots of things in Celtic mythology, including fertility. So that's why she's spring, getting things going for the land, as well as cows and the forge and the home and fires. And since authors are creative people, I liked that creative fire metaphor. So when I'm thinking about cleansing, I'm also pairing it with like the home fires. And for me, in my creative life, I need some fierce outer energy to get that done, right? My focus when I'm researching is like a laser, like everything else falls away. I don't hear the bean. I don't like, think about other things that are worrying me. It's some intense outer energy. So to balance that out, I really need to declutter working space and sleeping space so that um, I'm not divided. My attention is not divided. So for me, cleansing is part of that. Not that I'm a great cleaner of the home at all. That is probably the opposite. But just in my own way, when I look around and I think, oh, there's this many piles and there's that many piles over there, and like things are in midway in process, that sort of weighs on me and grates at me and makes me think, oh, I have to do that. I have to do that. I have to do that. And it's like open tabs, but like open guilt tabs that are trying to get me to pay attention to them. So when I am trying to get that home fire burning hotter and be creative and do a draft or do edits, which are so painful, or do researching, which is, a few hours at a time, just sort of going down the rabbit hole, I need to devote some time to clearing the space. And there's my favorite quote that I heard from Malia Dicker's mom, which is clearing the decks and preparing to work is one of my favorite ways to shirk. But it's not true. It's actually necessary for me because of the clean space and the attention. So hopefully that gives you an idea or maybe some motivation if you're dealing with something in a different way, perhaps that is distracting you from like the fire burning of your creative purpose, your creative goal. So what do you think? And then like just the second half of this, to reconnect with the home fires aspect. Sometimes at this part of the year, I will also look at old collages like that I made for vision boards and old goals lists, because this is one of probably 24 planners now that I've gone through. And I do the table of contents in the front, like you do with bullet journals, that say, here are the things that are evergreen, that are not just like appointments or whatever, that if I need to reference to come back to, video ideas or readathon goals, or not readathon goals, but you know what I mean. And when I go back and look at those things, sometimes they're like, oh, I was thinking about that 3 years earlier than I thought. This should probably happen sooner rather than later. There's just good things, good ways to check in with yourself. And for me, the planner helps with that and helps like recenter and recalibrate and refocus on that home fire. So that was my little connection with Bridget for today. So what do you guys think? Let me see if you had answers for 2 for the preparing and planning. Monique says, I plan by quarters since we include at least 1 trip. Health, 2 books a quarter at least, and continue exploring Poland. I love that. So Monique, oh, Joe, ooh, I didn't mute the tab this time. I was late, that's why. If you would like to drop your links for buying books, you now have a wrench. Yay. Sorry, I hadn't done that before. Yeah, another Black Authortuber. Woohoo. So welcome to the Readathon, dedicated to boosting your signal. We love it. You can also tell us what kind of books they are so that people know what they're getting into. Monique says, Imbolc has a double importance for me since it's my oldest grand's birthday. My daughter named her from a character from The Color Purple, Olivia. My oldest grands. I think you mean a grandparent. So your daughter named her from a Color Purple character. Who did she name? Not your grandparent. Now I'm confused. Who did your daughter name? Tell me that, because that sounds like a fun story. Color Purple, my favorite movie. Wow. Leslie says open guilt tabs are definitely well seen. That just came to me. Yeah. Guilt tabs opening up. Dang, I'm quoting. All right. Well, there's your nugget of quotable wisdom from today's. I'm sure we'll get much more when Callie comes on. And I will check in just a moment to see if she has emailed me about that. But so yeah, preparing and then finally cleansing and home fires. So that's pretty much like the Imbolc observances. I just wanted to do a little piece. I think I got into investigating Shabbats, and I really like this book, The Magical Year by Danu Forrest. I definitely went through a lot of it. I hosted gatherings. I did a lot of work sort of celebrating these things and trying to work them into my life several years ago, and then just sort of let it go. And I think I want to pick that up for this year. So not necessarily publicly, but as part of my going over things process. So that is how I'm going to incorporate it into an Authortube video, and hopefully help any people out there who may want a moment to take their breath, take a deep breath, and sort of recalibrate for the year. That is what today is for. Katya says, I decluttered recently and my sister suggested I do a sage and Palo Santo cleanse for energy. I bought a kit, but now I have a mental block around the most correct way to do it. Oh, let that go. I just did one yesterday. Actually, I picked up a piece of Palo Santo that was by the window that I hadn't used in months, and was like, I like that smell and I don't remember what it smells like anymore. So I lit it and I did counterclockwise. No, I did clockwise. I think I think the ritual way is the other way. But I don't think that really comes into play. I think it's just your intention and what absorbs into your body from your intention. So that's my very technical way of saying do whatever you like. Yeah. Just a side note that certain sages are from a tradition of medicinal use in Native American cultures. So if it's white sage, I think it's actually endangered, and you might want to look into the sources where you get it to make sure it's not like clear cutting white sage somewhere where they're not supposed to. But yeah. Monique says, I don't consider myself a grandmother, but I call my grandchildren grands. Oh, okay. So it's a grandchild, not a grandparent. See, you look way too young to be a grandparent. That didn't even cross my mind. Okay. It's my oldest grandchild's birthday. My daughter named her, the grandchild, from a character from the Color Purple. Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. And Olivia is a beautiful name. Love it. And Monique's got a website here. Need to finish tweaking the others before their books are released. Okay, so different pen names. Nice. Multiple irons in the fire of Bridget. I love it. So thumbs up. Yay. So I feel a little bit more invigorated after the discussion. And then I'm going to do a quick round of other author-related updates because Callie just popped in the back. So the camera is covered, and I will wait for her to have her icon up before I pop her up. So I'll just go through my last author updates, which are January has ended, but I did not quite meet the goal for January. I have not finished the plotting research for the outline that I marked out for January, but I'm aiming to do that this week. So stay tuned for updates on that. March is my drafting month, so I will be hitting y'all up for sprints. I did just post an announcement on Friday night that I'm stepping off the managing side of the AWC. So the Authortube Writing Conference will have two co-chairs again, Shannon, the founder, SD Houston, and Devin Gambrell Clark. So they will be lovingly shepherding it through 2025 and doing some amazing work with new partners. And if you want to volunteer, check out that video for the links. And definitely watch and support as I will be doing this June 27th to 29th. And then the last Authortube update for me is the little moment of pride, because after almost 5 years of being a YouTuber on here, I got my first payment from YouTube last week. So thank you for y'all watching ads and sending super chats that eventually compiled into a payment after almost 5 years. And yeah, so I'm a monetized channel. The new policy that I figured out a couple months ago is that when I do live streams like this, I'm just going to keep them ad-free for the people who are here to watch live. And then once I finish, I'll put the ads on so that anyone rewatching is supporting the channel. That plus the affiliate sales from bookshop.org. I usually put links in the description. So that affiliate sales, Patreon support from some of you lovely folks, and of course, any book sales from people who read the books are how I support 2 videos a week for almost 5 years, which is a lot. So 5 years and counting. And of course, it's not the money. This is the first time in 5 years it's happened. So it's, of course, the witty banter of folks like yourselves that keep me here. And thank you for that, for being the source of thoughtful, invigorating, hilarious, and powerful conversations over these years. It's been lovely. Speaking of community and authors, are we ready? Can I just be audio? Oh, no, that's fine. I was looking for you to put the icon that you usually do. But if you can't do that, you can definitely just do the audio. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Callie Browning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello. Let's see if your audio works.
Hi there. Is it working?
Yes. Perfect. Awesome. Great. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing today? You just came back from a workshop. How did it go?
It was really good, actually. I'm looking at trying to do some different types of things, and I'm always looking to become a better author. So yeah, it was about the power of words and that type of thing. So yeah, it was really good.
Very cool. I'm gonna start putting some of your links in the chat. And you know what else I'm gonna do is I just finished a book this morning, so I get to shout about it.
Good.
Yeah, and I definitely want you to shout about the one that you were just part of in terms of like December. Yeah. There we go. So this is the one I just finished. The girl with the hazel eyes.
Good. How did you like it?
Book.
Yes, that's my first baby ever. Yeah.
Yes. Amazing. So this gives me a little bit more like, background to say what you write. Did you want to give yourself an intro in terms of like, I'm a this, I'm a that, find me here? Or do you just want to like, okay.
I could. Whatever you want. I could do that too. So I'm a Barbadian author, born, bred, still live here. I mostly lean towards historical fiction generally, but my short stories, they tend to be more, thank you, they tend to be more modern because, people have cell phones in them and that type of thing. But they all set in my country of Barbados, and they all try to focus on various themes, whether they be about love or independence or women's agency. So they always have these these themes that are really important to me. My book, the same one you just held up, that was featured by Oprah magazine when I first released it.
It's
Yes,
a
the girl
beautiful
with
pair, so
the
yeah.
thank you. Yeah. So this is actually you can see the little Oprah O right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm featured as one of Yahoo's top 10 books to read. And was featured. Yeah, some of my books have been featured by Medium, The Jamaica Gleaner, Trinidad Express, Hearst, Latinx, the Barbara Bush, Houston Literary Foundation, and I'm forgetting some. I'm forgetting some. But
That's
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the New York Times was one was
So
the collab. Yeah, the collab that I did was with the New York Times. That's not just me. So yeah, that's
nice.
me. Thank you.
Um, oh, sorry, let me get my power. I just unplugged it and it needs to be plugged in. Okay.
Oh no.
So, yes, you were on the channel last year as part of the kickoff, and I've been following you on Instagram, but you are a YouTuber. So, can you tell me a little bit about, you've had success with the books. Why did you decide to come on YouTube? Is that second to Instagram? Like, where do you spend your most of your energy these days?
Well, for sure, I spend most of it on. Okay, well, let me be very honest. In terms of, I haven't been posting as much anywhere because I've been so busy writing. I've been
Ooh,
adapting, yeah, I've been adapting one of my books for film as well.
oh
So
my
there's
God.
been a lot of writing, there's been a lot of planning for the launch for the next one. Then there was the Christmas collab. So in terms of actual writing, that has taken up 90% of my time. So the posting, yeah, but the reason why I started my YouTube, which isn't fully realized yet, if I'm honest, is I really wanted to
You're
create.
there. Half the battle.
Yeah. But no, for sure, that's going to be my thing for later on this year. And my vision for it was always to have a place of community where people could, because I wanted to do like, because my country is small in terms of population, we only have 280,000 people on the entire island. So I know some towns have more people in the US and Canada and Germany and every place else. So I really wanted to have a place where, for example, recipes that are in my stories, you can go and you can say, okay, well, Callie talked about fish cakes. Let me go on her YouTube and see her fish cake recipe. Let me watch Callie make these fish cakes.
Or turnovers. So the one that got me to watch it and give me turnovers
There's
because
so
I was like, wait, this is not the turnover I know. I want to look this up. And then
mm,
you had not a glossary, but
yes.
in the back to reference certain of the things, many of the ones that I had highlighted, and I was so excited.
Oh,
You know,
good. Yeah, but like all those things I want to make recipes of. I do have one or two recipes up on my YouTube
okay.
because, as you would know, it takes time to, this takes time. So imagine, you're cooking and filming at the same time and then editing and trying not to burn the food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a whole thing. But
I wouldn't
there
do
are.
that live. I wouldn't recommend that one live.
No, 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 no. You have to film that. You must. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was part of that. So that then there was always going to be this great reference point for the things that are really important to me. Then I also wanted to do some videos of places you can actually see. Um, One of the last things I did was I put up an audiobook sample of my last short story collab. So my last short story, well, not collab, my last short story anthology, which it features all of these stories in that won some sort of award. So I thought to myself, you know what, let me compile this thing.
Is
It's
that
on
the
a
Christmas collection?
no, not even that.
Oh, okay. Is
this,
this the Cat
sorry,
Spraddle?
this is Cat Spraddle, yes.
Okay.
The
Okay. Gotcha.
Cat Spraddle, the Christmas collection. That was a collaboration between myself and four other Caribbean authors. And I was so excited to do that because, they're always Christmas collabs,
Yeah.
Christmas stories, and it's so beautiful to read them. They're so heartwarming, and a lot of them are really wholesome, and they
Mhm.
really take you back to, I think, what got most of us into reading, which is this sense of purity and ease and happiness, right?
Mhm.
And I really wanted to do something like that because I'm all about the vintage. So when we talked about it, I thought to myself, "But this is going to be a really good idea." But it's Caribbean. It's Caribbean, and then they're also people from the French Caribbean. So you have two languages. You can find a story in two different languages. And I know you speak a little
That's
François.
cool. Yeah,
François. Yeah. Je parle le français un peu seulement, but I do want to get those. I do want to
Ça
get
fait
those.
longtemps. La première fois que nous avons parlé, c'était pour pratiquer le français et j'ai complètement oublié. Ça fait si longtemps.
Yeah, I
Good
got halfway through, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
so I feel like the last time we talked, I did have one last book. And so I'm really, really pleased with the progress I've made in the past year in terms of this collab, which we worked on that for a year. We worked on that Christmas collab for
Well, a book each, that's a
Yeah.
lot. How are they related? So how is the collaboration? Is it characters, setting, theme?
settings for sure, and theme, because they all have to be Caribbean romance. So they're linked in that way. And then each book, we also said we also wanted to find a symbol that links our countries, right? So we have like food and that type of thing, but everybody wasn't always doing things centered around food, right? Because we do have that commonality among the islands. So we said, well, we're all on these beautiful islands. What about a starfish? So every cover is linked by the fact that there's a starfish on it. Everyone's cover has a starfish on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me share it then.
Oh,
As
good.
we can go through the first one here.
The sweet Cherie, that's Guada fiction from Guadeloupe. That's Myla.
Oh, and starfish is on the necklace.
Yes.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Island
starfish.
They're
Yeah.
holding. Okay, love it.
Uh-huh.
We've got L'amour pour Noël.
Yeah, you can see the starfish right there, like in the if you see right above the title Carafuna.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the etching in the back. Pretty.
Yeah. And then this one has the starfish like right above by what it says Caribbean.
In the title. The little subtitle. Christmas.
Yeah.
Cute. Oh.
Rosie's the last one. Hers is on the tree. So when you go to Rosie, right, that one. You see like the tree.
Yeah, there's an ornament on the tree.
So everybody has to put a starfish. Yeah. So we were really pleased with how they came out. And it was also featured by some publications across the region. This really interesting collab, because I think it was the first cross country Caribbean collab for Christmas. Yeah, so we're some trailblazers as well. Very excited.
Like the West Indies Alliance or Federation or what was in here, you're making a new one.
Yeah. But with different languages, which was important to me as well.
Nice. Very cool.
Thank you.
So just to catch up on the chat, Monique said 280,000, more than we have in Rzeszów, Poland.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. And then Emma came in and said, "Oh, Emma and Monique probably both know something about Christmas romances. Both writers. I love that." And we had a question from Katya, which is, does that mean you're writing the screenplay of your work?
Yes. That's what I did last year. So I already wrote it, yes. So, yeah. So, honestly, follow me, because I'm going to be releasing some information about that soon on Beijing Callie at Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So follow me, because I can't say anything just yet, but in a few weeks, I'll be able to say.
Okay, I'm just putting that Instagram, taking it from the description, putting it in the chat for folks. There we go. Excellent. Just Zuff. I'm not sure what that means. Is that about Christmas romance comment? Maybe. All right, so I asked a little bit about the Authortube stuff, and you've got plans for later in the year. And we covered some of the books. What about genres? Because when I read this, so I don't know that I would count, I don't know that I would categorize it as a romance.
No. It's women's fiction. Yeah.
Women's fiction. Okay. So what I loved about this is that I got to read the history of some of the Caribbean region. Do you have a preference for Caribbean, or which one's right? You want to tell me?
No, I think they're both correct. I don't. Yeah, that's not a hill I want to die on. They're both right to me.
But since we last talked, I had done a lot of research actually into the sugar industry. So I was doing a book on Glasgow and the sugar trade there, and the empires and the plantations and the abolition of slavery in the 1840s. So 120 years before your book, but you're dealing with like the aftermath and the colonization after effects and development and independence. And so they're like weirdly connected. I was like, wow, look at that. That's so cool.
They completely are. And when you said that, I was like, she's gonna say they're connected. I automatically knew, because they really are. They're so intrinsically connected. And if you look back at the linkages between sugar and money and even travel and development and industry and technology, it's all related.
Yeah. And Leslie, if she's still in the chat, she read the book and we talked about it at length in an interview on her channel. But she sent me caramels because there was a specific part in the book where this one guy who's, I don't want to spoil anything, but he smells like caramel, and that's the impression he leaves on the main character. And then he goes on to do various things. So she was intrigued by this, and I'm like, you don't know what's coming. So it was just a funny moment about the connections and like the things that actually stick to you through history. So that's really, really cool. So I definitely recommend. But in terms of past genre and future genres, you have a screenplay, and you said the Christmas book was a romance. So how do you hold the different books in your catalog in your mind? Like, do you have a certain type, or are they mostly this, and then you're pivoting to another? How do you spread that out in your head?
I should be more organized, to be honest. For
that's
me,
not a critique. That's just like I have one that's historical fiction, historical romance. Like you have.
You know what? I say all the time, and that's actually in the dedication in the book I'm going to release soon, where I thank my readers for genre hopping with me. So I've been finding myself, and I think I've pretty much gotten to a place where I'm pleased with it. But for sure, I think the thread is always Barbados. It's always major events that were pivotal in my country's development. It's always centering, well, except for my short stories, it's always centering women and their role, and on always average people and how they can find, and how important they are to these big moments, even though they don't know it. It's always about that, taking the little person and seeing life through their eyes, but still they make a massive impact. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, definitely I'd say they always fall within women's fiction, except for the short story collection, which is Cat Spraddle. We're oddly enough, all of the main characters are men.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, except for Cat Spraddle. Yes. So yeah, women's fiction for sure. Women's fiction, historical.
Yes, but you also have real characters, and my last book, ORLA Rafferty, is the first one that I have real characters actually on the page in too. And you know, afterwards you have these are the real characters mixed in with mine. How did you, you know, as your main driver being portraying how Barbados has changed, developed, you know, taken the mantle of its own future in its hands, kind of thing, and doing that through the eyes of ordinary people and how they affect that trajectory. How did you decide to work in real people? Were you like, oh no, I have to show like the seamy backside, or I want to show like a good and a bad, or like the mix of motivations? How did you approach it? And then how did it sort of fall into place? Because I like that part. I just went from doing it and it sort of was like, I guess
Yeah,
I can do
sure.
this. I didn't, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think real people are always a good reference, if you know what I mean, because people knew they existed and people knew they had this part to play. So from the time you reference them, I feel like you can explain less, you know what I mean? And
Mm.
their importance and their role is intrinsically understood. And that makes it, I feel like, a little bit more important, if that makes sense. And the mix comes from, sorry, tell me.
For certain audiences, I didn't know the characters who were the main movers and shakers in the independence movement. So until I read to the end and knew that they were real characters, like it was new, it was fictional to me. So I was learning as I read. So it depends on the audience.
Yeah, for sure. But that's what I mean. Like there's, and then because obviously, I mean, nobody knows everything, right? Which is why we read in the first place. So I know not everyone does know, but for people who do know,
Right.
you know, as the young people say, it hits different, right?
Right, right.
So
They go, oh, okay, so he's gonna be da da da.
yeah,
And you're like, okay,
right. So
yeah,
there's almost like an Easter egg in its own way, right? Which I
yeah,
love. Yeah, so it's like an Easter egg because you don't have to explain certain things anymore. And it's, but I mean, you still explain for the reader who is initiated, of course. But
right,
yeah, for people who do know, it's like a fun, it's like a fun wink, you know. I love that part of it.
yeah, yeah.
So
Very well done. Welcomed me in as well as gave the wink to the people who already knew. It was great.
thank you.
Monique says, oh, that's just Zuff. Wow, that's how you pronounce that word.
Oh wow,
Town name.
Joseph.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Well,
very
thank you so much, Monique, for that.
Leslie is still here, so she's laughing at the caramel comment.
Ah,
All right, so let's see. I had another question. So, thoughts about being a visible author of color in different mediums. So, you know, I do the readathon. I'm trying to compensate for what the algorithm does for people who are authors of color or talking about you know, topics that they want to suppress and our social media overlords don't want discussed or what have you, right? I'm trying to like help even the playing field in any tiny way that I can. And so that's like the point of the readathon, is to try to get people reading more diverse books and listening to new voices that they might not ordinarily hear. And so I'm thinking about this and thinking, but Callie doesn't show her face on broadcast or on Instagram. You have like the icon, which is really cute, like another image, and that's totally valid choice. It's a brand, and I love it, and it works well. And I'm just thinking, well, when you come on and talk, then like, can you tell us a little bit about that choice, or like, if it's hampered you, or you know, if it has made things easier, or I don't know, just curious.
okay, so let me go right back to the beginning. So when it first started, I realized I had to use a pen name because there's another author with my government name.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's
And
common enough. Lots of people do that, yeah.
yeah, but what made it worse was that this author is also Caribbean.
Okay.
So I know because the region is so small and there's not that much understanding of the various islands, I didn't want, and that author's stuff is very, very different to mine. So I did not want the broad confusion. So I initially thought to myself, okay, well, I'll just change up some parts of my name and a little bit and, you know, just go from there. But then, funnily enough, what happened was that I started, initially my social started with me just taking photos of just things that I saw and just my books and you know what, along the way I realized I wasn't posting photos of myself. It really just happened very organically, and then it was like, you know what, this could be my thing, and I just went with it.
you
And then
go.
I started to play with it. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I kind of then thought back to Mr. Wilson from Home Improvement. Yes, I'm so serious, Mr.
What
Wilson.
is going with this?
Yes, all the time. So I thought about him. I thought about Vera from Cheers, because Norm's wife, she's never seen either. Maris from Frasier, she's never seen
Yep.
either.
Just the
And
voice.
because yes, and because you never see these people, like you're even more intrigued by them. And I thought to myself, you know what? Here we go. And then I started like taking photos with like the book hiding my face, or like me like snorkeling, and I'm wearing the mask, and it just
Yeah.
became like this joke, like this ongoing joke. And then it just became a thing. And you know what? Then people started to say, you know what? I'm not even mad at it. So so it just happened very, very organically, I think.
Okay.
It became
Nice.
a joke, yeah, in the end.
That's good. That's good. Because I'm never I never know people's experiences in terms of like a lot of folks maybe have negative attention, and so they're using a pen name, or not being on screen because they've had issues in the past. And so I was like, well, I don't know if that's a thing, or you
Really
know
innocent for me.
yeah.
And you asked earlier if it has made things easier. You know what? In some ways it does,
Hmm.
because when I went to a festival last year, I remember another author I was with, people kept stopping her and saying, "Oh my gosh, I read your book! I read your book!" And I thought to myself, you know what? You know what? I'm really glad this isn't happening to me because I'm going to tell you why, right? Because the thing is, knowing me, I would just have this very shocked look on my face when these strangers walk up to me and grab my hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe this is for the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really very innocent. There's no everybody thinks there's some deep meaning. Somebody said to me actually last year, they were like, I thought you were really ugly.
Whoop.
Sorry about that. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah. Still there. Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Right. So somebody said to me, I thought you were really, really ugly. I thought that's why you never posted your photo.
My God.
So they said that to my face. So
The
but
public. The
serious.
public.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they told me that last year. One guy told me that last year at the festival. Another author too, actually. He was like, you know what? I he said I should have known. I thought you were really ugly.
Wow. That's a weird thing to say. What an odd
I
thing to
know.
say in
I
the
know,
language
but,
of the
but it was, I think it's
maybe.
the way he said it, and it was the look on his face. And he was like, he was shocked, like, oh my gosh, I actually thought you were really ugly. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Monique was laughing.
Yeah. I
This
laugh.
is the problem too with my author name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Common.
happens quite a bit.
Shout out to Mr. Wilson. Yeah. Grew up with Home Improvement for sure.
Of course, of course.
That's good. Yeah, someone's saying that to your face. There's a meme. Are you on TikTok? I don't know.
Yeah.
You are? Okay, so I haven't followed you there. I sort of have fractured communities. I haven't followed everyone on everything, and the repeat sometimes gets me like. But there's a sound that everyone is using, and I'm not sure how to take it. I'm not sure I get it. The joke, which is the sound where someone says the white roses I wanted red, and she says you could always paint them red, and she says what an
Yeah.
odd thing to say. And it's basically like people unsolicited feedback, and you're like, why are you telling me this? I'm like, that's perfect for that, just go away.
Yeah. I'll have a word with him. And
Yeah.
yeah, because we follow each other on Instagram now. I'll have a word with him. I'll send him that song and let him know the community is on my side firmly.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna follow Instagram is your primary platform so Bajan Callie on Instagram for the announcement that we'll be hearing soon. But what about anything else that like YouTube, or I don't know, like reading or anything else about the world in general? What's got your interest these days besides all the writing and the workshop and the news?
The news? The news has been crazy.
Yeah.
What's got my interest? You know what? I I always have like a little thing. I don't want to say obsession, but every now and again I pick up a new obsession. So last year it was gardening. If you
Ooh.
follow me, you might remember all these tomatoes I was picking, and then I made my own tomato sauce. So yeah, I
Mm.
had planted these tomatoes. Listen, this was like the best time of my life. I was living my Nara Smith era. I
Yeah.
was, yeah, doing my living my best life. So I was picking. Listen, I could not believe the bounty of tomatoes. It was insane. So many tomatoes, and
Wow.
I grew my own basil. So I
Nice.
was making pizza sauce like all the
Nice.
time. I had so much of it in the freezer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I spent part of last year doing some gardening. I've been learning some French, not very well, but did have a fractured conversation last year with a taxi driver when I went to Quebec. He spoke half English, I spoke half French. Together, we made it work.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, I was so proud. That was one of my proudest moments because I failed French in school. I failed French in school.
Uh,
The writing has my attention. And you know what? I'm really interested in building communities now. So, like, I know you and I don't catch up as often as we would like. So hopefully that changes this year because I know we've both been busy. I know you've been writing. I've seen your stuff coming up. Um, and I'm excited by the way. Actually, but that's one of the things I really want to look at this year. This was something I mentioned in December where I want to spend more time talking to my bookish friends. I feel no offense, but you know, to my real life friends, but my bookish friends, I think they're super interesting
mm.
and I want to spend more time talking to them. I want to do more giveaways with their books. I want to feature them more. That's actually one of the things I want to do on my YouTube channel as well.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so I think right now I really am keen on developing a greater a greater community among everybody I know online. I don't know. I went to meet some of them last year in different countries and I thought to myself, why don't I spend more time with these people?
That's so cool.
So
That's
yeah,
really
that's what's got my attention these days.
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I have a similar thing, except I think I was more online with folks in the past maybe 3 years than I have been in real life. And so for me, I don't know if this is true for you, but for me, it's sort of apocalypse thinking. Like I need to strengthen all my kind of like diverse income streams. I need to strengthen all my, relationships so that if something physical goes down, I have people in the area that we can band together and help each other. And I want to be useful. I don't want to be a leech. I want to know how to
Yeah.
garden and how to make food and how to make cloth. That's what I'm working on now.
Oh really?
And,
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah. So there's that, but then there's also, you know, I I don't know. The community that I live in, the people that I love are sort of near and far and sort of scattered, and
Mhm.
so I do need an online community. So, like you said, like the bookish friends or the people I've made on friends
Mhm.
with online, um, they're near and dear to my heart. So it's just more of like a bringing it back into balance. Like I can't spend so much time chatting with folks online. I need to also like go out and do things in real life. So
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's why, you know, that for me, part of it also is meeting these people as well. So, like, I had gone, like, the festival I went to last year, I met a bunch of them. And then a book club in St. Kitts flew me down for a book club meeting when they featured my book. And I also met another bunch of them.
nice.
So it's, and since then, like these relationships have only been strengthened, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really, really, and the thing is, like, we're talking about collaborations, we're talking about the community and the industry and things that matter to us. And it feels, and it's not just in terms of books but also about the other parts of it, the culture, the history and everything else. And it makes me feel, I don't know, it's just such a great space to be in because it feels like it feeds you, you know what I mean? So that part of it, I'm really excited about. I mean, I think my real life friends, like I said, I see them. We go to lunch, we hang out and stuff. But my online friends, they're pretty cool. I'm glad to spend more time with them.
Yeah. Yeah, you say they feed you. And for me, I think the sensation is like you're not alone. Like there are other people who are trying to do the things you were doing, who
Yeah.
are just as fed up with things as they are, who are just as like desperate for a moment of relaxation and like talking about anything else. And you're like, okay, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Like yes, we're together in this.
Yeah. So I
Totally.
feel that way. And you explained it perfectly.
Okay, so you said you're going to be doing giveaways on your channel, and I had a thought before this live, and I'm just going to go with it, which is I know it's going to be US centric, but I can't help that because of the costs. So at the end of this month, people who are participating in the spreadsheet and doing reviews of Black Authortubers books, I'm going to do a giveaway for each of their books. So someone will get all four that I'm featuring in the month. So I will, in the US, I will do a paperback because I have a source. I've got a bookstore that I've got credit in from bringing back my books. And so I can send them from there, from Backstory Books. But if it's outside the US, I will send e-copies of all your books. I'll just buy them and send them. So that's...
You're finally got it to work. I've been fiddling with it for the whole stream.
Oh my gosh. StreamYard or Chrome or whoever's fault it is. Anyway, that's the cool little avatar. But yeah, so if just to encourage participation and encourage folks to read new books and hear new voices in fiction or nonfiction, whatever you would like, or poetry, which I almost forgot to do your recommendation, so we'll do that in a second. But this is the link in the chat. 2025 BAT Readathon. That is the spreadsheet. You can look at all the books that I already have there that people have contributed and posted their reviews of in previous years. And you can also put your own video in there for people to look at the review of once you read and support the authors. And then in March, I'll just do a giveaway and do a little, random drawer thing and send the books. So I'll put that in the description now that I just came up with that this morning. But yeah, so Leslie says that's a similar situation that the singer Sia is in. She likes that she can be herself outside of her singing career and people don't recognize her.
Yeah, I was always also inspired by that.
Yeah. Did she not end that? I thought she was her face was seen at one point, but maybe not. Maybe it was still half covered or something.
Yeah, she was out and then she decided to stop and then she decided to come back on. You know what? I'm not mad at her. Do you, girl?
Yeah, do you. Exactly. I agree. Monique says all bookish is in US and only the youngsters speak some English. Well, I know maybe 20 Polish words, 22 if you include the kitten's name. I don't know about that. But yeah. Learning Polish. Yeah. I think Monique's been pretty hard at work on that. Then there's the time zone difference. Oh, and keeping up with folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jocelyn
Exactly, for sure.
Finding like-minded people makes a world of difference. Totally. Yep. 100. And ooh la la, I'm ready for more books, please. Excellent. Okay, so tell us about your recommendation and I'll pop it up.
Okay, great.
So
the recommendation is Bless the Daughter Raised by a Voice in Her Head. And this one is my most recently finished Black author book. The thing with this one is I've reread some other Black author books since then, but this was the newest one, so I didn't want to go over reread. But the reason why I bought this book is because I've realized that as an author, poetry, learning how to tell stories in different ways, it really, really strengthens how you tell your own story. So I bought, I think, 2 poetry books last year just to really expand the way how I use my vocabulary. And I got inspired to try Warson Shire in particular because I first heard her stuff on the Lemonade album by Beyonce. So Yeah, she was the one. That's where Beyonce got a lot of her poetry from, where she talked about I bent at the head and bowed at the waist, and all those little monologues she did for Lemonade.
Uh-huh.
Most or all of them are from Worcestershire, from this particular poet.
I know that. That's so cool.
Yeah, so I have two of her poems which I like. I have them bookmarked. Do you want me to read a little bit or not really?
Sure. Yeah,
Oh,
that
great.
works.
So I'll read the shorter of the two just for the sake of brevity. And this one is called Blessed Kumayo, who, upon hearing news of a girl child, lit torches of content to welcome us onto this planet, stalking us through our mother's birth canals, ululating, born on the month of Isku, shehood, have some shame. The goat slit from ear to ear. God help those who gossip on the phone after Magriba, tallying the sluts of the family, the sainted Sharmuto, guessing whose hymen fizzes after dark, pink fading to black. What shadow cast from our flag of dishonor? Verily, your life is brimming with sorrow. We've witnessed love slowly abandon you. Still, we pray you find healing, bitch. It's just the ending that took me out. So I love the way how there's almost like a sympathy and sorrow and a sadness in how she expresses herself. But then there's this kind of cattiness at the end, and I felt like that was so powerful, the way how she talks of these people who are going through things that may not be their own fault and how they're being judged for that.
Mm.
But then it's almost like she isn't as sympathetic as she makes it seem. She's an unreliable narrator in her own way. So I felt that was I like the way she plays with language very,
Uh-huh.
very much. Um, and I feel like I've seen a bit of it coming out in one of the love scenes I've recently written.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Cool.
think poetry works really well in love scenes. Not necessarily like, you know, straight
Actual
up poetry,
poetry.
but yeah, but that lyrical that ebb and flow of language, that those highs and lows. I think it really works well. So I'm very happy I was able to come across some really interesting books. I've also read some Rupi Kaur, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. And another local poet, her name is Jacinth. Um, she has a book of poems called Motherland. So that was Mother Island, sorry. So that was really, yeah. So I'm just really excited to spend some more time with different genres. I mean, completely different genres. So, and Warson she is, I'm trying to remember which African country she's from. I can't remember. Oh, Somalia.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. So,
Somali born, but British raised, maybe?
yes, 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 exactly. So it's always good to me to you know investigate these different cultures in different ways. So yeah, to me it was like a whole new thing. Some more
Yeah.
poems, some Somali, some British vibes
Mhm.
as well. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, that's cool. I have only read a few poetry memoirs, and
Mm.
when I challenge myself to do that, I'm often completely at sea, and I wish there was, like, a glossary at the end saying, like, "This references to this," and you're
Yeah, yeah, it's hard.
it references lots of different things, but, like, some of the words that I'm
Mhm.
like, "These are cultural words that I don't know," and I'd have to, like, look them up on Wikipedia, and then there would be a history behind, and then I'd have to understand that before I could understand, like, the subtle reference in the poem, and then it just sort of ruins the flow. So, it's a lot of work, but, like, then you get to understand a different perspective and a piece of a culture that you never even imagined, and that's
Yeah,
the good part.
for sure. I saw this thing on Threads the other day where this guy talked about the keys to being a great writer. And I imagine there must be some writers here because I know one lady talked about her pen name as well.
Yes, yes.
And he said, if you want to be a great writer, you must read widely. And
Mm,
this is exactly what I mean when I say read widely.
mm.
Read newspapers. They will teach you how to draw attention immediately and keep it. Read novels. They will teach you how to write words that move people. Read poetry. It will teach you how to have complete control over a reader's heart. And I
Mhm.
thought that perfectly encapsulates what I was hoping to get from it. So to me, the funny thing with poetry is even if I don't completely understand, because don't get me wrong, some of it is still a little high concept for me. But I'm not gonna lie. No, you're laughing, but I'm dead serious. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna pretend I'm this great poet laureate and I get all of it. But it teaches you about rhythm and it teaches you about that element of surprise and control, right? To me, poets
Yeah.
really have much better control over language. And I
Mhm.
always find that interesting. So yeah, it was to me from that point of view, I love her control of language.
Nice. And if anyone is wondering about the particular one I'm thinking of, it's Maggie Nelson. I tried to read The Argonauts, and I know that is my friend Allison's like one of her favorite books. And I'm like,
Ah.
completely fine admitting that, like there are a lot of things I delve deep into, and it's just sometimes especially the poetry memoirs, because it's two things that are unknown to me that
Yeah,
like together, it's like there's a lot of uncertainty, so you have to really dig in to try to figure it out. But yeah.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I
Yes.
completely get that.
Excellent. Well, let me look at my outline to make sure I don't forget anything else, like the recommendations.
Oh,
um, I think that's it. So I have the list for the spreadsheet if people want to join in the readathon. Again, very low key, just like add the book of the Authortuber, add their channel so other people can find out about them, and then leave the review if you put up a review on YouTube or another site. And we'll do a giveaway in March this time. Uh,
yay!
oh yeah. Oh, and I've got the link for Sunshire's book in case people are inspired. I'm pretty sure it's already on Leslie's like radar list, but she said she was ready to hear about more books, and
Good stuff.
yeah, so good stuff passing on the word. Yeah, and so we'll follow you for your imminent announcement. Very good luck with that, and knocking on wood for all of the good things to come your way.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just went to a workshop, so are you going to be speeding away and writing for the rest of today?
Well, I've got a launch coming up, so there's been speeding away on writing, even against my will, over the past few weeks, just to tighten up. And you know how it is. You just have to let it go. But I'm not ready to let it go. So soon, though, soon I have to. Oh yeah, yeah. You're
Uh,
always picking at it, you know. So yeah,
yes. All right. Well,
yeah.
thank you so much for coming on, Kelly. I very much appreciate being the first guest on the Readathon poster, and up for a good time. And I loved reading your book, and I loved hearing about what's coming down, and more about your work. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. No, I always have a good time with you. So this is a no-brainer for me. I'm always glad to spend some time talking to you. It's always fun. It's always insightful. You always give me some great racks as well. So yeah,
Did I
thank
give
you.
any? I don't think I did this time, but
You
they'll
mentioned
be in the
the,
description.
yeah, you mentioned the poems and other things, and I'm gonna look at the description so I can see about these caramels that your friend mentioned. So yeah,
Okay.
there are some things that piqued my interest. So yeah, I do want to know.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for being with us today for this first Sunday stream for Black Authortuber Readathon. And hopefully you found another book that will be fun to read and just a heartwarming, what Callie was describing, purity moment of like learning and understanding other humans. Because that's what we read books for here.
Of course.
And yeah, go out and buy a Black Authortuber's books.
Yay.
Woohoo! Take care, everyone. Happy reading.
Thanks. Have a good day.